Hello there. I'm Scotty. You want an ad? Hold on, please. I'm going to an ad. I want to have something playing. There we go. Okay. So, Orange Dream. They got new flavors every time. It seems like every time I go to get new ones, they got new ones. They came out with root beer. They came out with chicken cherry cola, and now they got an orange cream dream. What do you call it? Oh, and it's good. I said they should make an orange one. I didn't think of this kind of orange. I meant like an orange because I used to drink them out and do Kickstars. Because they weren't energy drinks because it didn't say energy drink. I guess something happened and they had to label them as energy drinks now. And I like the orange one of those. I really like the orange one. And they didn't have an orange flavor. They had citrus, but that's more lemon lime than anything. So, and a tropical flavor, and no. Anyway, I rolled, so I got a review. Bridesmaids. Yeah, so honestly, I knew about this movie, obviously. It was everywhere back when it came out in 2011. I saw the trailers, I saw everything. I knew what it was. But it's just, it was never, I never thought it was my piece of pie, you know? It wasn't for me because, well, it's a chick flick, first of all. And I'm a dude. Though I did hear that dudes would like this too, and for the most part I did like it, but I have issues. But I like several actresses that are in this, but it was just never my thing, and mostly because not just because it was a chick, it was because I saw two specific clips that I've seen several times throughout the years. One where Kristen Wiig is drunk, or as I found out, drugged on a plane. Time to party, or whatever, and I went. And then another scene in which everyone is puking and shitting while getting wedding dresses. I was like, what? This is comedy? I don't know. And it's Paul Feig, which is weird because I like his Ghostbusters movie. I'm one of the two people that like that movie. The other one being my son. But I like that movie, and he directed it. And it has Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy in it. And I like them in that movie. And they're fine in this movie, but it feels like they were told to go over the top, so they did. There are moments where I just was like, let's move on. Why are we still here? Like I mentioned the scene where they're all shitting and stuff. It goes on for far too long. To the point, a joke is, are you just gonna shit in the road? You're sitting in the road. She's gonna sit in the road. You're gonna sit in the road. Okay, we get it. And there's another one where Annie, that's Kristen Wiig's character, feels like she needs to one up Rose Byrne's character. But then Rose Byrne feels like she has to one up her. So, Annie, I'm just gonna go. Kristen Wiig makes this speech for her, and then Rose Byrne comes in and does a beautiful speech. So then Kristen Wiig's got to go and try to upstage her, and then Rose Byrne's gonna come back and try to upstage that. And Kristen Wiig's gonna come. I'm like, come on! Extending a joke does not make it funny. It makes it funnier. It makes it worse. You know. It was not funny. I even got to the story. The story is that Annie is a woman who doesn't believe in love, I believe is the thing. And her best friend, Maya Rudolph's character, Mama Luma, Lillian, is getting married. And she's going to be the maid of honor. And then when she meets the other friends that are with, she meets Rose Byrne and gets jealous. Because Rose Byrne seems to be, she just gets jealous of her. And yeah. And then there's other stuff. There's... strangely enough, I like it more when it's trying to be more heartfelt. It's when they try to do comedy that I just go, can we move on to the next normal moment? Because like I said, there are moments where it's just like... And again, even... We'll get to it. There's a moment in this movie where I went, what was the point of doing that if you weren't going to go through with it? Look at that. So, we meet Annie. She's a young single woman living in Milwaukee. Young. She was like 35 here. Young. We found out she had a bakery, went out of business, and now she works at a stressful, underpaid job at a jewelry store. She doesn't like it, I don't know. She has obnoxious roommates. Rebel Wilson. And my God, Matt Lucas, who I love as Nardo in Doctor Who. But they combine with Rebel Wilson, and they're supposed to be siblings, which, by the way, doesn't work when Matt Lucas is obviously British, and Rebel Wilson is obviously Australian, which they are, and they're not doing the same accent, but they're brother and sister. Can you stop saying that British people and Australian people are the same thing? Because they did it with Greece, where it's like, British dude is Sandy's cousin. She's Australian. That doesn't work. And yes, I know that Olivia Newton-John was raised in a British family or something like that. She was born in Britain or something, but she lived in Australia. I know that. Okay, I listen to Casey Kasem, goddammit. But, like, still, they never mentioned that about the character of Sandy in that movie, is the thing. So stop thinking that British people and Australian people are the same thing, because they're not. Okay? I don't know what that was a Scottish voice. I don't know what that's for. But anyway, yeah. She's also banging John Hamm. Oh, he has a name, but it's just John Hamm. She's banging him, and it's one of those things where, like, it seems like there's more, but he doesn't want more, but she kind of does. But it's just like, and then we get our first not funny joke where she tries to sneak out over a fence for some reason, and like the maid or someone opens it, and she gets stuck, and the thing opens, and I'm like, that's not funny. That's stupid. Why couldn't you just leave? Why did we need that joke there? It could just cut to her doing whatever. Why did we have to... That's another point of, like, some jokes just either go too long or we didn't need them. You know what I mean? She finds out that Lillian is getting engaged to her boyfriend Doug, which is done off screen for some reason. And she gets Andy beer made of honor. So at the engagement party we meet Annie and us meet Lillian's other bridesmaids. Lillian's cousin Rita. Rita? Who's Rita? That is Wendy McClendon Covey, who I know from Rules of Engagement, and of course everyone would say the Goldbergs. But I know her from Rules of Engagement. She was Megan Price's friend on there. And then we also meet... Go back. Lillian's co-worker Becca, who I believe is the Cole's mom. Yeah, Ellie Kemper, the Cole's mom. I've seen the commercials. And then Doug's sister Megan, who is Melissa McCarthy, and Helen, the wife of Doug's boss, who is Rose Byrne. Rose Byrne. And so Annie and Helen are immediately jealous of each other's friendship with Lillian. Because there's a whole thing. I swear she's talking to... I thought she was talking to Doug. And some kind of... I don't know. It made it seem like she was having an affair with Doug, but that never comes around. I think I just heard it wrong. On our way back from the... engagement party, she was pulled over by Officer Nathan Rhodes, Chris O'Dowd, he's one of the good things in this movie. But this scene is not, because it's one of those things that goes on for far too long. He's having her walk in a straight line, and then she goes, and I'm not wearing pants, so I'm not going to go that far. She's like, If I was drunk, could I do this? And she just keeps going. It's okay. Even he's going. It's enough. You proved your point. It's just like, I'm like, okay, because she keeps trying to say I'm not drunk, and I'm sitting here going, don't you have a thing she could blow into? Not that. I mean to measure her blood alcohol level, right? Why is she? I don't get why. They had it back 2011, right? The thing? I don't know. But she gets a ticket for broken brake lights. Is it tail light? But then they start to talk, and they realize that there's a connection. Annie was the owner of Cake Baby restaurant, or former bakery, excuse me. And he was a patron. He talked about the stuff that he ate there, and then she looks upset about giving a ticket, so the officer waives it as long as she gets the taillight fixed, which, spoiler alert, she does not. And this is what, okay. They go to a Brazilian restaurant that Annie chose for lunch. And they get there, they order the food, and they pointed out that Helen does not consume any meat because she doesn't want to get bloated. And I thought it was going to be revealed that she poisoned the food or something, but no, this was all just coincidental. Because the way she looks when it starts to happen, she's like, I'm just like, did she do this? But that's never revealed, I don't think. So they go to a high-end bridal boutique, which Annie goes there and they need a reservation to get dresses? I'm not a woman, so I don't know that stuff. So I don't know. But, of course, Helen's just like, oh, it's Helen. Oh, come on in. Yeah, that's not how it works. I'm sorry. That if you don't have a reservation, they're not going to let you in. There's more things you can get pissed about. But they all start to get, like, food poisoning. One thing I did laugh about is where everyone starts getting, like, sick and everything. It cuts to Helen and Annie, and he's like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm not poisoned at all. No, I'm fine." Yep. And she's like, "Are you sure?" And she's like clearly spreading profusely, like she's gonna get sick. "Oh, I'm fine. And it's just like that did make me laugh a little bit, but yeah, they have food poisoning. Oh, they have right here. Rita vomits into a toilet at a boutique. Becca vomits on Rita, and Mega defecates into the bathroom sink. That is, yeah. While wearing a haute couture wedding dress, Lillian rushes through traffic to reach another bathroom. Then she succumbs to diarrhea, defecating in the street. She just, yeah. Then it starts a game of one-upsmanship. Annie has a suggestion to go to for a bachelorette party at Lillian's parents' lake house, which is overruled to go to Las Vegas, which Helen has planned. And this is where I got a little pissed. I'm like, okay, Vegas. We're going to Vegas. What's going to happen there? Nothing. We're not going to Vegas. It's like the end of Glass where they promise you one thing and they pull the rug out from under you, and actually that's not what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. It's like, then why did you tease us with something better than what you had planned? And eventually I'm going to do Glass and Unbreakable and Split, which I said in the wrong order. I'm going to do those. I just keep pushing them off. I'll get to them eventually. If I can get a Blu-ray player that works, because I don't have digital for those. I have digital for Split, because I had the Blu-ray first by itself. But I opted to get the 3-film collection, which did not have any digital to it, instead of just getting Glass. So, yeah. So they get on a plane. Annie has a fear of flying, so Helen, gives her a sedative and liquor. So it's both drunk and drugs, okay. and becomes intoxicated. That we're dying to party, and then she's running around screaming the plane's gonna go down. And then Ben Falcone, Melissa McCarthy's husband, who is a air marshal with a mustache, and I know him as Howard from Joey. And yes, I do remember Joey. I'm probably the only one who remembers that. I had the first season over there. They have other episodes on YouTube I could watch, but I haven't seen season 2. And I don't think they have them in order. Maybe they do. I don't know. But yeah. Doesn't Marshall have 2 L's? Maybe it's just the name. I don't know. And then the plane makes a emergency landing in Wyoming. So they never fucking go to Vegas. So what was the point of saying they're going to go to Vegas and then they just don't? And I also don't get why everyone has to get off the plane when it was only Annie that was causing the trouble. Yes, they were all there together, but she was the only one causing problems. Annie did Megan did tackle her, but no, it doesn't make sense why they're all taking off. And then Helen gets to take over the planning of the bridal shower, even though what happened on the plane was technically her fault. But yeah, upon Annie's request. But so I mentioned there was a scene earlier where they're like on his car and they're talking. And it was like a good luck carrot or some shit. But now she gets closer to Nathan, to Officer Nathan Rhodes, of course O'Dowd, and it becomes sort of close. Of course, they end up having sex. Oh no, they proceed to get busy, have sex, do it. And he's like encouraging her to open a new bakery, though she's hesitant about it. And then after having sex the next morning, he just shows up with a bunch of baking supplies and say, "Here you go, do it." I'm like, dude, read the room. And she storms off, of course. And then she gets an argument with this obnoxious teenage customer and calls her the C-U-N. See you next Tuesday? That word? Yeah. I didn't realize this was rated R. And I was watching it and then they started just throwing it up. I was like, oh, okay, this is rated R. Okay. It didn't seem like it at first. But, and then this confused me. So, Annie gets kicked out by her roommates. Not that part. She was in with her mother. Not that part. Then she goes to Helen's home in Chicago for Lillian's Parisian-themed bridal shower. An idea of Annie's that Helen had rejected earlier. I've had to mention that. But here is where I was confused about this rant she goes on. So, Annie gives her a heartfelt gift, and then Helen upstages it by giving her a surprise trip to Paris. And Annie goes off on this. But when she goes off, it's not proclaiming that she had the idea first and then Helena took it away from her. She just gets pissed and goes off on everyone. Goes off on them and whatever. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me? And it's just like going off on other shit that would. I'm like, why aren't you saying this was my idea and you stole it? No, she's going off. She goes on about some cookie that's outside. Why is it outside? They have a big heart-shaped cookie outside and there's no birds trying to eat it. Bullshit. Especially in Chicago. Why'd you have anything outside in Chicago? It could get blown away. It's not called the Windy City for nothing. But yeah, and the two get angry and start to destroy the decorations. And then Annie storms out and Lillian uninvites her from the wedding. So she drives home and her tail lights. Okay, the first one said brake lights. Now its tail lights are still broken. Get her in a car accident. Nathan is the officer that responds, and then he admonishes her for not taking responsibility for herself, which is all a speech about the broken taillight, but you can tell it's about something else. Ted shows up, which is the only one that she knew to call, and then he wants a little, sucky on the way. She's like, no, and she gets out and walks, Megan shows up and basically bitch slaps her, not literally, but verbally. He's like, "Hey, you need to get out there." Uh, and she fixes her car and tries to reconcile with Nathan, who ignores her. And on the day of the wedding, Helen shows up saying she can't find Lillian. And again, I roll my eyes at what the conclusion is to this, because they can't find her now. It's the hangover, but it also has a screwed over thing like the hangover, like it's obvious. So then Helen tearfully confesses that people are after her for her event planning skills. She does not have any true friends and feels unsatisfied in her marriage. So then she's able to get Nathan to help, but it's revealed that Lillian is just at her apartment. And she becomes overwhelmed by Helen's extravagant wedding plans and is afraid of leaving her life in Milwaukee. So Annie reconciles with Lillian and resumes her role as maid of honor, though that doesn't show at all. And they have the wedding. The air marshal guy is there with puppies. I forgot to mention there's a part where Megan steals a bunch of dogs, and at the end, the marshal guy has the puppies. I don't know. Annie and Helen hug, and in a feud, but then it's not even here. I thought it did. No, it's in the thing. But it's like, yeah, okay, we're cool. And then Helen just grabs the thing and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Lillian's favorite band, singing her favorite song. Give it up for Wilson Phillips." And the look she gives her, she's like, "It's the last one. I promise, the last one." And of course they sing, "Hold on for one more day." And I had a moment where I lost it, because so they start playing and I'm not paying attention to the screen, so I'm looking this way. And I look away for a second, and I come back, and they're like, "Somebody gonna take back. It's Maya Rudolph and Kristen Wiig just doing that, and I'm like, "What the hell happened?" I'm like, "What the hell happened?" So I rewound it, and yeah, as soon as the chorus starts, they start doing that, and I'm like, okay, I did not expect that. I thought maybe something was gonna happen, but I was like, they're going, okay, maybe not, and then it did as soon as I looked away. Yeah, and then Nathan arrives to pick her up, and they reconcile, they kiss, and then we get some bloopers. I guess there's a blooper where like the song starts playing again, and they're doing a little dance, and they're laughing. It cuts to Melissa McCarthy and her husband's sex tape. She's like, "This is our first night having sex with the air marshal guy," and I'm just like, no, it definitely doesn't last long. But no. So I said before at the start of this, it's not my cup of tea. And I had fun with it, but I don't know that it's a movie I'm going to seek out to watch again. Like I said, I had fun, so I'll give it a high middle of the road. So far, nothing terrible, really. I think Mickey 17 is the worst one so far, but nothing terrible. So let's go ahead and we'll roll for the streaming service. One is Hulu, and just so you see it, 5 is comedy. Again, but it's a different streaming service, so we'll go down to Disney Plus, because that's my way to get into Hulu. I could get the Hulu app separate, but I had to have Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN all together. And what do I need to waste space on my main menu, right? Right? Who's watching? Me! I'm the only one. Why does it ask you who's watching if you're the only one on there? Okay. Go up. Hello. Comedy movies. lot of movies here. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking. A lot of weird ones that I'm seeing. Hey, look, Melissa McCarthy. Okay. Okay, so let's go. Roll. At 12. 12. At 12. So, not counting the ones I've done. So, 1, no kind of cornfield, no holes. 2, 3, no, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Pizza movie. Is that the one with Gaten Matarazzo in it? Let me see. Yeah, it is. I see his face right there. I couldn't see it. I just saw the thing. I'm like, pizza movie. Okay. All right. Here's the synopsis in case you need to know. College kids take an insane drug and embark on an epic quest to get a pizza. Sounds like my kind of a movie. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Bridesmaids? No comment so much, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.